Aylin buyers to present-day visionary to live their best life. Welcome back, everyone. We are live today. We are going to be taking a look at the entire month of May 2023. We are going to be diving into the most important astrology. And then the second half of this episode will focus on every single sign and the most important numerology for what May is bringing for you guys, what the focus will be, a couple of keywords that I'm going to throw in there for each and every one of the signs so that you get a broader sort of idea of what the themes might be and how the month best supports you. And then a couple of clues as to what the numerology is connected to as far as the planets and what you may want to pay attention to. So we're going to be discussing everything that I feel is going to be very important to pay attention to. I just want to quickly mention that if I am missing something, okay, as far as transits, I just want you to know there's always so much going on. I try to capture the most important transits and kind of sum it up so that you guys are not sitting here, taking notes forever and ever, because there's always so much going on. The planets are communicating in more than one way. And so we're going to cover the most important. There's obviously a lot happening. We are in this eclipse sandwich right now. And we have another eclipse that's coming, which is going to be the lunar eclipse now, the version of where we are letting go of things and more fated events that could occur, because lunar eclipse can definitely bring that. And so we're going to be diving into all of this. If you are here for the first time, I just want to say welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that you will like what it is that I have to offer. My name is Aylin Sky. I do astrology and numerology, astro-numerology, and I focus on the degrees quite a bit because I find that the degrees give us a lot of information and a lot of insight, because the angles are always very exact. And when things become exact, that number has a meaning. There is a significance behind it. And that is something that I love to pay attention to. So if you love that, if you love numerology, you love it coupled with astrology, then you are in the right place. I would love for you to hang out with me, subscribe. You can subscribe on my YouTube. If you are on the podcast version, we're back. I think that I've shared this with everyone before. Where I live at this time, I don't have control over the internet. And this is the most frustrating thing, because I want to get a more high speed, like the highest version internet speed that you can get. But unfortunately, that is not available for me right now. I'm like, why? But I've tried and it's just not available where I live. This is something that the people that lease the place where I'm at, that is what they are in control of. And so if you see me go in and out in this live, just know we are loading. I'm going to be back. All right. So if you like forecasts, like I said, subscribe. I'm on every platform. You can also follow me on Instagram and on TikTok at Aylin Sky Astro, where I put out different type of content. I ultimately do put everything up onto YouTube, but it's a platform where you can follow me as well. And I just wanted to quickly mention that. So I also wanted to just say hi to everyone who is listening on the podcast version from Singapore. It is mind-blowing to me to see all the different countries where people are downloading my podcast from. And every time I see a new destination, a new place, I'm just mind blown. Thank you so much for listening. It means the world to me, obviously, to do something that gives me purpose and to know that that is something that you guys are enjoying or into. And so it gives me good feedback, right? Real quick, one other thing that I did want to share with everyone today is that, like subscribe. And if you feel like there is someone in your life that would benefit from this information, share it with them too. I do have a goal here on YouTube to gain 10,000 subscriptions or subscribers. And once I do, I am going to do a huge giveaway between readings and gift boxes and all of the above and beyond. And so that is one of the things. So I'm inviting you to join this family, ring that subscription button, and then also ring the bell so that it notifies you. All right. Now we've gotten all of that out of the way. We're going to dive right into this month. First things first. Today, the sun is conjunct Mercury. I'm going to pop up the chart so that you guys can see this as well. So May 1st, the sun is conjunct Mercury. Now the sun is in Taurus and Mercury is retrograde at this time. And it's been retrograde now for, let's say, a week or plus, okay? And here it is coming into a conjunction at 11 degrees. Now, what does that mean? 11 is a number or a degree that deals with opposite ideas or people who are in the same, let's say, theme or work or the same kind of denominator, something that connects two people, but there are opposite ideas that are being discussed. So this sun conjunct Mercury is definitely that. 11 degrees deals with a conversation that is actually unfolding. So it's not a conversation you're having with yourself, but it's a conversation that's actually unfolding in real time in life with somebody else. 11 always involves another person. This is new communication that frees up sort of a problem that's been long-standing, and you need to figure out how to solve this problem. And so two people come together, but oftentimes with 11, there has to be another solution that needs to come into the picture, or another person gets involved. There has to be some kind of compromise that needs to be made. And so this could be a realization already leading up to this lunar eclipse where you need to make something work. And you might have to do this you do not like, all right? Sometimes this can sort of bring up that kind of scenario. 11 always brings up friction, all right? Even though it might be a good aspect, it does bring up friction or friction that needs to be dealt with. And so these are topics of money, of comfort, of security, of productivity, because it is in Taurus and it is retrograde right now. These are power struggles somehow that relate to comfort, security, and money. And so seeking very deliberate outcomes. Everybody is seeking a particular outcome. These are the types of things that you can expect from this particular transit all throughout this week, okay? Conjunctions, as soon as they start to separate, we start to dive more into that conversation. So it's not just 24 hours long. But also this is a time, or this week, where we're starting to realize that we have certain ideas that we want to turn into reality. And this is really important because, right now in the Taurus, field, the Taurus themes, this is something that we can make real. And I want to point out that this very first week from May 1st until the 7th is super important in order to make these types of strides, or to think through a strategy of how to get from point A to point B, which is what Taurus energy can be brilliant for. Really, really good start to this week, but of course, more to come. Now, May 1st, Pluto also today stations retrograde, already is retrograde actually as we're talking. Now, Pluto stations retrograde in Aquarius. Here, Pluto in Aquarius has already revealed what's to come over the next decades with the Aquarius energy. This is just the start. Been sitting at 0. It will retrograde back to 27 degrees Capricorn, and it will station again direct 27 degrees Capricorn on October 11th, 2023. But right now, with this particular retrograde, we get a moment to process what boundaries we need to hold, because 0 deals with boundaries. That is where Aquarius, or Pluto in Aquarius, is at right now. And it's sort of like an incubator, you guys. 0 has to do with a space that you're holding that has a lot to do with the Aquarius themes. What are the Aquarius themes? Well, where do I belong? All right. Where does my idea, my life, my, job, me as a person, and everything that I have to offer, where does it belong actually? These are types of themes that you could see. And also, just in general, we're focusing on safety here as well. Being that zero is an incubator, there is a sense of safety that we have to restructure. We have to restructure something that we're trying to either, create more time so we can focus on a particular vibe, because Aquarius, particular vibe, we're trying to get away from something. And with zero, we have to protect it. We have to make sure that we have some kind of a plan. That plan needs revision. And that is what we get to focus on every single month up until October 11th, when it starts to go direct. And once it goes direct, we're off into this new territory. So there is a sense that we have to deal actually with things that are not a good foundation still in our life, which is what Pluto is showing us. If we're wanting to move towards a more deliberate and more freed up version of what belongs actually in our life, we have to take a look at where the foundation is not solid. It's like you're trying to balance right now on some kind of foundation that's not stable, and that is what we're taking a look at because of all the Uranian energy that we have been going through as well. This comes into the picture as well here. But with this particular retrograde, we are focusing on what do we need to protect and what do we need to actually work on a little bit more to restructure in our life so that we can sustain this new type of very deliberate vibe that we're trying to bring into our life. So this is going to be super important, but it starts this month. Now, May 4th, let's see, Venus squares Neptune. I just needed a moment to reorient here because there's so much that's happening. So I'm going to go forward with my chart. Let me just go forward here. So May 4th, Venus comes into a square with Neptune. Now, where is Venus? Venus is in Gemini. And Neptune is in Pisces, and they will come into a square exact at 26 degrees. This is the unfolding of more gossip, okay? Things that where we're questioning truth in relationships. This can have to do also with gossip around more than one person that is involved. Like, let's say there's 3 people involved, 4 people involved. There are things that are happening where we don't know the entire truth. We don't know what's actually true right now. This is a really interesting sort of digging for the truth type of energy the day before the lunar eclipse is unfolding. That lunar eclipse, although it is unfolding this, week, it is going to last into July. This is not something that is going to just happen this week. Like, this is initiating a couple of different things that need to be or eclipsed out of our life, because that's what lunar eclipses are going to be all about. But what's really interesting is that this Venus square Neptune is initiating a conversation here around untruthful things. It's not clear. You see, Neptune comes into the picture with this unclear, we don't have all the pieces of the information, and that is getting highlighted once again. So you could find that you're coming across another piece of information or something that somebody has told you, and now you are realizing you're processing this information now, and you're wanting to understand more. And there is some kind of emotional processing that's going on with this, which is a very important, I think, very important aspect to take a look at, especially with relationships right now, because relationships are the highlight of this year. Relationships are still evolving and still coming into, I think, a place where we're trying to figure things out. We're trying to figure out who's on our side, who is with us, all this stuff, that is still being processed, and it takes time. Now, of course, the next day, May 5th, there is going to be a lunar eclipse. This lunar eclipse, you guys, is definitely a truth bomb for sure. I mean, we're going to dive more into it. I'm going to have a separate report for this one because the impacts of this are going to be about 2 months. That's what I'm seeing. Um, this particular lunar eclipse is the ending to the notes that we have been in, which is Taurus, Scorpio over the last 18 months. But in particular, this lunar eclipse is a truth bomb. There is a lot of truth finding that is unfolding. There is a lot of making sense of your life, of relationships, of money situations, of things you have been wondering about. You're trying to make sense. And that is what this lunar eclipse is bringing. And it's serving it in a harsh kind of way. Okay. It's sort of like, here it is. It's like a harsh truth bomb moment. That's what I'm seeing with this particular lunar eclipse. But again, make sure you look out for the report where I'm going to be discussing this particular energy. And I'm just laughing because, like we have, but, life keeps going. There's a lot of interesting things that are unfolding all the time. Now, May 7th, right after this eclipse, Venus then moves into Cancer. And things are starting to unfold here. When Venus moves into Cancer, this is going to be a time, I think, that, this is a protective Venus. We're starting to move into a territory of wanting to now protect ourselves or relationship dynamics. And we're starting to focus on feeling happy again. I think the focus is on happiness. The focus is on feeling good. The focus is on very close relationships and relationships that hold a good foundation, a good memory. We're going to be leaning towards those types of relationships now. And I think there is going to be a more meaningful exchange that we are going to be experiencing here with relationships, which is a really nice energy. Okay. It can be emotional. There might be emotional sort of conversations that you might have in relationships for the second half of May. And this will have to do with just processing, right? Processing what was up here now down in our, which is going to be a really important thing. And quality time, this comes back into the picture. Am I spending quality time with the people that I love, the people who I consider friends and family, people who are my close relationships? There's a sense of wanting to feel like there's a fulfillment, there is a full and complete sort of exchange with the people in your life. And mutual respect is coming back into the picture. When Venus is in Gemini, oftentimes this Venus is so restless. I mean, there's so many times where I find that the exchange in relationships with people often have like a lack of groundedness because it's a busy time. It's a very mind and communication driven Venus. It likes to flirt. It likes excitement. It wants to get into the excitement zone over and over and over again. And I think that when we come into this Venus in Cancer, this is going to be a really nice shift in energy in relationships because we're going to be focusing on the simple pleasures again and bringing sort of a sense of mutual respect back, which I think is a nice energy here that will get jump started. Now, May 9th, the sun will be conjunct Uranus. Let me go forward in the chart because I think this is going to be an important time. So May 9th, the sun is going to be still in Taurus at 18 degrees. It will come into a conjunction with Uranus at 18. You guys, this is a very interesting plot twist, okay? Which is what this year has a lot in store anyway. There's so many plot twists that are happening, but this particular one right here, this will be about a declaration of some sort. Okay, there is sort of a declaration that is happening, and this is in your life in the day-to-day. It is impacting the day-to-day because it is in the second decan of the numerology of the degrees. This is sort of I am now in this brutal awakening of my life, and I have this material goal that I want to get to. I have this goal. It is serious for me and I got to make it happen. 18 is I got to get up and I got to make this happen. How do I make this happen now? And I want to act on this now. And even though it is in Taurus, this Uranian energy in the mix with the sun in the Taurus field, this will have a lot to do now with this particular lunar eclipse unfolding, this will have a lot to do with you just having this like moment that you want a particular outcome. And this particular outcome that you want, you start to realize what it is that you're not doing, and there is sort of this epiphany that comes through. Okay, 18 is a number or a degree that deals a lot with decision making, and so you're making a decision for yourself here that will impact the now. It's immediate. Okay, it's not something just for the future, but it's right now. I got to do this. And so this conjunction is about how you feel, act, or do, may even surprise you. Okay, that's what we're taking a look at with this Uranian energy. It's like a surprise element. Nothing on this day or even during this particular week, because now we're in the second week of May, nothing goes as planned, and it's fate. All right, it's sort of like there's some surprising element in the mix, and it's external. And so you could be realizing that you are surprising yourself now because you are realizing you got to move this fate train forward. Okay. And so something happens here that is giving you this sense of not only an epiphany, but change now. Now, the next highlight for the second week in May is going to be when Mercury stations direct. And this is going to be happening on the 14th on a nice Sunday. Well, if you're in the United States, it's going to be happening on a Sunday. And of course, this is really interesting because isn't it interesting that we are now starting the week with Mercury stationing direct at 5? And communication is going to open up all week long, because what happens after that is where the energy starts to become quite intense, actually. So I would say that the most intense week of May is going to be the third week. Tons of change that is occurring during this week, and Mercury is helping to now clarify where this new territory is in our life, which will have to do a lot with the Taurus energy. Is it sustainable? What am I doing right now that is actually making things real in my life? Am I having a strategy behind what it is that I'm doing? Is there a strategy? Am I planning this? Am I thinking this through? And there is sort of this epiphany now of what to do, how to go about it. And we're going to have to work out the details of all of that, okay? And the strength of all of that, which I'm going to get into in just a moment. But so Mercury stations direct at 5, which means there's a ton of self-realization that is happening. Mentally very strong week. Mentally a very sort of week where we're determined, which is what is being backed up here anyway with the sun conjunction in Uranus. There's sort of this, okay, I'm going to make this happen. I'm going for it now. And there is a mental strength and determination and ambition that comes out of this as well. And so definitely a 3-week period where we have been thinking through of where we need to bring more worth in, because that's what Mercury and Taurus usually will bring in at the very basic level. And so then what happens in the third week, let's get into it. Jupiter enters Taurus. All right. So you want to definitely pay attention to this. I'm going to make another report on this as well. Jupiter is entering Taurus. This is a growing phase. It's an owning phase. It's a making things real phase and theme. And this will have to do a lot with unexpected growth as well, because of Uranus. Unexpected growth and plans continue to shift all year. All right, all year long. And you want to pay attention to where Jupiter enters Taurus now, because you will be focusing on some real change and growth in this area of your chart. Not that the other Jupiterian transits aren't real either, but Taurus definitely brings a little bit more of this fixed earthy, flavor into things, where there is a little bit more of a methodology behind what it is that you're doing, in a slower process, and sort of a cultivation of that is happening during this time. Now, May 17th, this is when things start to get a little bit more interesting, because Jupiter does not waste any time, and it comes right away in Taurus into a square with Pluto. Let me just go forward with my chart over here. So 16th, Jupiter enters Taurus, and I'm going to hover over it. I mean, you can see it right over here, but it's going to eventually shift into Taurus. So the last degree here, Jupiter in Aries, but then moves into Taurus. And then the next day, here we have a square, which essentially is a T square between Mars, but we're going to discuss it a little bit more individually. But so here, Jupiter is in Taurus at 0, making that square to Pluto at 0 as well. Let's talk about it. What is this? It's, first of all, we have 2 fixed signs involved here. That is an energy alert. All right. There could be a new obsession that is born with this particular square. There is a new obsession with material ambition, with power, okay, gaining some kind of a status. You have sort of this I can move mountains type of attitude. I can accomplish anything I set out to do, and sort of this charging of energy towards a goal. It's very deeply penetrating. You're like, I am obsessed with this thing that I'm focused on, this relationship, this, promotion at work that I'm trying to get, wherever this is unfolding, the communication between the houses in your chart will sort of bring this out, point this out. But what is going to be really important during this particular initiation of this Jupiter square to Pluto is being mindful, because this particular square is pointing out boundaries once again, because it is at 0. And 0, whenever you think of 0 degrees, think of the incubator. Think of something has to be protected. It needs boundaries. In some cases, this is going to be a really dark type of transit. Again, we're discussing themes. So it's not going to be equal for everyone, but you might even watch somebody else go into a dark place where there's an energy that comes through that has mortality topics, okay, death, or some kind of beneficial destruction of material aspects that come up, which is really interesting because it leads essentially to liberation, because that is Pluto's promise all the time. Anything that Pluto brings into our life, at the end of the day, it is going to be liberating. It's something that is going to be liberating. But there is sort of this struggle between your pride and being in a space of self-discovery, because your pride could take over. The other thing I do want to point out here, we could see some political drama that involves power, people that have high statuses. They kind of come out. There's information that's coming out where there was not enough protection or an abuse of power, and taking it too far. There could be some kind of figures out in the political realm, or people that are in power of like high level, executives, that are taking it too far, and it triggers a huge response from the opposite side. And there is sort of this obsession to take that person down, or there's this obsession to reveal more of this. And so I'm curious to know, I am curious to know. Sometimes, when I make this prediction, I'm not always 100%, correct on all of this stuff. It's just really interesting to take a look at these aspects, because Jupiter square Plutos are not easy. This expands sort of a big moment for people that is not easy to deal with. Jupiter makes anything it touches larger, and then Pluto is just anyways an intense moment. Doesn't matter what sign it's in. So moving on, I think we discussed it enough here. Finally, happy birthday to all my Tauruses out there. You finally getting your new moon. Two essentially new moons. I mean, one was a solar eclipse, but Aries just putting in that second, solar eclipse in there. You guys got two, but essentially it's just eclipse initiation because of the nodes that are going to be changing. We're moving into the Aries and Libra realm, which is going to make things even more interesting. We're going to discuss all of that. But here, the new moon in Taurus is a really interesting and very important one to note because this one is going to happen at 28 degrees. Let's move forward so I can show you. 28 degrees. Here we are. I'm going to hover over it. You should see a light green circle that is moving between the sun and the moon on the top of the chart. And so here, this particular new moon in Taurus is a time where we're going to be focusing on a lot of action in a sense, but it has to do with creating success. Okay. This is success through the material way. This is success through a material outcome. It's a success story that's getting initiated here. It is you really owning productivity also in your life, no matter what that looks like for you. There's some kind of productivity that is coming into play here. It's like, I want to make something happen in my life. And so now I'm going to be more productive about it. There's a strategy around that. That's what Taurus brings. And 28 degrees is a success of some sort. So you want to pay attention to where this is happening in your chart because, it's Jupiter has joined the party. Jupiter in Taurus. This is huge. It's a different kind of energy. It's a shift in energy. And we are going to be approaching this, even though Taurus doesn't like to be rushed. We don't rush this area of our chart. We are going to make huge strides if we take this energy and really make it work for us. And so this is going to be a new moon and a new moon phase, that kind of initially beautiful month where we can, turn things into gold. And so make sure you make the best and the most out of this energy and pay attention to where Taurus is at and the themes that are coming up and taking those opportunities in. Now, of course, Mars. First of all, let me just show you. The same day as you just saw Mars opposite Pluto, the same day, though, Mars moves into Leo. All right. Now, you see on this particular chart here, Mars is still in Cancer at 29. Let me just go by the hours a little bit because I want to see when this is happening. I think it is going to happen. Yeah, there we go. 2:00 in the afternoon. Whenever a planet shifts to another sign, it's a little bit quiet at first, but definitely we notice that there is the sense of release from the other energy. So when Mars was in Cancer, the energy was definitely a little bit more of a roller coaster ride, tons of triggering in a way where it draws us emotionally. We're taking more emotional action. There's a lot of like hurt feelings, and it's a roller coaster ride. And Mars doesn't like to be in Cancer. It's not its favorite place to be. So now that Mars moves into Leo, there is a regeneration of some sort that is happening. And the energy and the focus has a bit more of a stable energy because it's a fixed sign where we are putting energy out. Leo is all about putting the energy out. Leo is not so much an energy where we're processing internally, but we're putting the energy, out with dignity, with pride. We are wanting to shine in this area. So Mars moving into Leo, you want to pay attention to where this is happening in your chart. Let me pop the chart back up. Now, the same day, of course, as soon as Mars moves into zero, these zeros, you guys, because of the Pluto Aquarius zero axis, Mars opposite Pluto in Aquarius at 0. Wow. This is a moment, I think, let's dive into this. This is a moment where I feel like you could be sucked into a subject that's not even yours, because 0 is one of those degrees where it's all about boundaries. Okay. And 0 is also, when we take a look at 0, think of 0 as a way where anything can come through. Okay. Now, when we go back to this chart, Mercury already is direct here. It's at 7. There is some kind of a truth that comes out. Mercury is right next to the North Node in Taurus at 3, and it shakes our belief here. Okay, the North Node can make things a bit more dramatic. Now, Jupiter is in Taurus as well. And so this Mars opposite Pluto at 0, this draws out wanting to push back on a subject. Okay, this is also sexual aggressiveness. This is another thing that we can take a look at. Why? Because Mars is our sex drive. Mars can rule over your sex drive. And this is sort of a sexual aggressiveness, a raging sexually as well. You want to be mindful of this area, these themes that come up. Okay. And wanting that rage somehow to come out, and it is playing out, that could reveal someone's dark side. Be mindful here. All right. I gave you already a lot of info to think about here, but that's what I'm seeing, because 0 is also, my moon is in 0. Okay, you guys. So let me just tell you something about 0 degrees. I have tons of journals where I track themes of these degrees. And one of the things I see with 0 over and over and over and over again, it's the seen and the unseen. Because 0 puts us into a world where we could hide. Okay, what we have to say or what we have to offer, who we are, we could hide at 0. Easy to do. It's like a moving from one side to the other, the seen to the unseen, the dark versus the light. It's an entry between these worlds. Okay, because of that, because something is unclear, your exchange with someone or some kind of an exchange could be in the themes of gaslighting. I see this often where people either misunderstand you, you misunderstand someone, or you don't misunderstand them at all. And it is truly about gaslighting. Okay. People could be really gaslighting here. And this is really important to, keep in mind, because the Mars in Leo is a very specific, energy that comes out that wants to just be more assertive. Okay, it operates from the heart, but there is also another side to it. So it could be unfair in this, wherever it's unfolding in your chart. And I wanted to just make sure that you guys pay attention to that, because this 0 requires our attention. And in a way, we have to make sure that our boundaries are known, because the 0 brings the seen versus the unseen. Your experience here could be that you're going to have to deal with a situation where you're making it known that your boundary needs to come out. You're making it known that whatever is happening, like, you got to bring it out into the open. Otherwise, it becomes something that is sort of like stuck within that 0 field, and the boundaries get crossed because things can penetrate here at 0. Okay, so this has been my experience with this, to really, push through with the energy and making sure that you are in a place where, no matter what's happening between this particular, opposition between Mars and Pluto, because Pluto is now, retrograde, that you are realizing that this is one of those things where we have Mars that pressurizes or gets pressurized by Pluto, and this is pressure and resistance. And when you have this resistance, there could be a tendency to give up. And I want you to remember something, okay? This week in particular, the last 2 weeks of May, it is so important for you to understand whatever resistance is coming up. This is a time, whatever you're dealing with, whatever aggressiveness could be coming out at you or even around you, this is not a time to give up. This is a time to turn this resistance into you getting to know yourself as a person that can push through and can really stand up for yourself. This is, again, an intense energy, not easy to deal with. However, it has the potential here, again, Pluto, to liberate you. And especially at 0, where you understand and really protect and fight for your boundaries. Super important to keep in mind with this opposite Pluto. And especially because it is retrograde, you have to sort of restructure what boundaries actually look like right now in your life. Wherever Pluto is in Aquarius, these boundaries are going to be super important. Okay, so it gets a little bit more intense as we continue. But first, May 21st, Gemini season begins. Happy birthday to all the Geminis out there who are listening. Okay, so if you're listening to this later, happy birthday. Gemini season begins. And of course, when Gemini season begins, we are now in the axis of Gemini Sagittarius. And this is going to be about communicating. This is going to be about our ideas. This is going to be about our mindset and our beliefs, understanding our life from the belief realm. And so, really important, right? Because once we have this resistance that we're dealing with, we're now dealing then afterwards right away with Gemini, our mindset, our speech, our communication, our connection. Then May 23rd, Mars squares Jupiter. Super important transit as well. Okay. This Mars square Jupiter always makes me think of like a any kind of hero, figure, like any heroic person, that comes out, like anything you can think of. The only place that I can think of right now is like, I don't know why this keeps popping into my head, but Hercules. This Mars square Jupiter has like this flavor of like, here I am, and especially because it is going to happen at 1 degree. Let me just move forward here real quick. So May 23rd, here we see Mars at 1, and then it is coming into that square with Jupiter at 1. And this is going to be really interesting because this could be a moment where it's a big piece of humble pie, okay? Because it is a square, we could be dealing with a big moment of humble pie that we didn't expect. And, it's got it's like a humble pie flavored with rhubarb. And some people don't like it, right? I didn't want to say nobody, but some people don't like it. And so this is a moment of testing your strength. It's a moment of drama. And just know that you could be observing yourself always. It could be yourself or it could be somebody else, where if you feel not validated or you feel not seen or you feel like somebody is ignoring you, this could be like a moment where there's drama behind it, throwing a tantrum somehow. This Mars in Leo square to Jupiter and Taurus, it wants to feel seen. It wants to feel like they're the spotlight or you're the spotlight. It wants basically to move forward with a lot of confidence. The thing here that is really important to keep in mind is that you really have to take your time to plan. If you have something amazing that is happening during this time in your life, make sure you think through, because Gemini season has begun. You have to think it through. You can make massive strides under this particular transit right here. Mars square Jupiter, you can have the power to push through in a massive way, but you have to make sure that you're super intentional and really make every moment count here, and make sure you understand that no steps can be skipped. You cannot skip steps because this Mars square to Jupiter promises a big piece of humble pie. And that is my point with this particular transit. Okay. Let me take a moment here. I know we've had people drop into the chat. If you're here in the chat, just always let me know where you're tuning in from. I love to hear from you guys. If this stuff is resonating with you, always leave a comment below. I just want to know how you are experiencing the astrology. It's always great to hear from you. And what we're going to do now is we are going to go and dive into every single one of the signs. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to briefly discuss your numerology for this month. And the way that I am basically putting the numerology together is I take a look at the numerology of the month and then the numerology of your sign. And then that's how I basically see the numerology for this month and what we need to focus on. I have keywords attached to every sign, and I am going to briefly let you know what planet the numerology is connected to. In today's episode, we're not going to dive into every specific like transit that could be unfolding with that planet, but just make sure that if I discussed any of the planets in this particular episode, go back. Timestamps will be provided. You can take a look at what transit I discussed to kind of see where it's happening in your chart based on your rising sign. And I'm also going to be pulling a tarot card for an overall spiritual message for this. Let's get into it. We're going to dive in with Aries. Aries astrology this month is 44 and 8. Your keywords are discipline and humility. The reason this is discipline and humility is because 44 is a master number. It is a time of big decision making, okay? Every decision will come with the theme of discipline. It will also come with a moment where there is a turning point and there's sort of a sense of discipline and a sense of seriousness behind your decision making because there is more responsibilities that are coming onto the plate. And that's what you need to keep in mind for the themes of the month of May. The 44 or the fours are correlated to Uranus. So you want to pay attention to the Uranus transits this month. You also want to pay attention to Saturn this month as well. Okay. Saturn is in Pisces. You want to pay attention to where this is happening in because these are the areas where you will be making the most decision during the month of May. Let me just shuffle the cards just once because I haven't shuffled them yet. And I'm going to draw a spiritual card right from the top. Your card here is the Four of Wands. This is really interesting because every decision that you're making right now, including text messages, I know this is so specific, but this is what's coming up. Every decision that you're making, including text messages right now, you have to really think it through. Every screenshot that you're sending, every text message that you're making, you really want to think it through. And there might be some things that you might deal with or you receive communication that is changing the way that you see a situation. And you got to deal with the situation this month head on. 44 is a number where it is discouraged. It's not discouraged. It's encouraged for you to deal with the situation head on. All right. This is going to be really, really important. And of course, now I'm curious. We're going to have to take a look at your chart. Hold on. I said that I wasn't going to do it, but I'm going to have to do it. Let me just move forward or backwards. So of course, you know, with Saturn here, that is going to be a time of you understanding just your spirituality, you know, you yourself. Everything that's happening this month is making you think deeply about the meaning of things in your life, the meaning of your relationships, the meaning of, you know, worth in your life. And of course, you know, your money house is activated this month a lot because of the Taurus, you know, transits here. So you want to pay attention to every decision that you're making because it is a time where you could produce a lot. It is a time where you could really make a lot of great decisions that help you and support you to make gains in your life that are monetarily or financially really good. And so you want to make sure that you pay attention to this. And of course, you know, Uranus is in the mix in the second house. So there could be some unexpected stuff that comes up where you have to make decisions that cut ties with certain material aspects in your life or things that don't feel productive anymore for you. All right, let's move on. Taurus, 38 and 11. This is about connection, entrepreneurship, and alliances. Allies, okay? Really important this month. 38 is a number that deals with you more. Moving on now, okay? This is about moving on. I've already told many of you, you are kind of slowly coming out of this time where things have felt really gnarly. Okay. Things have felt so bizarre. Again, many changes that you didn't expect. But now it's about making some really good connections. These connections will also lead to essentially to like areas or situations or opportunities where you are leading yourself in a way, or there's some kind of opportunity where you become more of a person that is leading yourself, learning something new, especially when it comes to business, especially when it comes to yourself. And entrepreneurship is a part of this. And your connections to other people become a huge aspect here. 11 again deals with other people. It deals with communicating with other people. Your spiritual advice card is the Lovers. Look at that. You are going to be meeting people that are um there's a lot of like great vibes. There's like almost a really great energy exchange that you didn't necessarily expect. And that's exciting. There's an exciting aspect this month to people that you're going to meet. New connections, though, or connections that are deepening. Okay, this could be another unfolding of that. And of course, whenever we take a look at 38 and 11, there are three planets you want to take we want to pay attention to. The number 3 is a planet that will have to do with Jupiter, number 8 with Saturn, and 11 ultimately with the moon cycle. So the moon cycle and the new moon in Taurus especially will jumpstart a new fresh energy for you that will be very welcome. All right, that's what I'm seeing here for many of you. Now, moving on to Gemini, 58 and 13. The keywords are strategy and self-control. Think before you act. It's going to be so important this month. It's a lot about Mercury. Wait the first 3 weeks, like let information come to you. All right. There's a lot of communication that's going to go back and forth. Things you're going to find out that, again, are shocking. They have a shocking value to them because 13 brings some kind of shocking event here. All right. 13 also deals with you having to sum up your self-control. All right. You learning more about how to control, like maybe even your words, because you might want to react. You might want to get into the situation, but it's not a time to do it. All right. This is going to be a very important thing here to understand where to put your energy, what to say at what given time. And your spiritual advice card is the Ace of Pentacles, because if you really pay attention to this, self-control, there is a new strategy plan that is going to come up, because the information that you're going to receive is going to inspire you to approach a particular problem that you're dealing with right now in your life in a new way. And I'm going to pop up your chart because I am going to show you where this particular area is going to be, kind of give you a little bit more of a hint here and let you know, because I'm getting this download right now that has to do with a new behavior plan and a new strategy, how you are seen by other people. All right. This is a huge, huge thing. How you're being seen by other people. Why? Because the sun is coming out of your 12th house. It's going to go into your first house. This is going to be a lot about what to communicate and what not to communicate, what to say, what not to say. You have Uranus here in your 12th house, and you're expanding your intuition. 100% expanding your intuition. And you are also expanding the way in which you're thinking. Okay. There's more of a self-control aspect here that is coming into play, which I absolutely love for you guys. All right. Moving on to Cancer. Cancer numerology is 45 and 9. Your keywords are communication, independence, and action. Now, this is an action-packed month for you. It is a month where you're going to be focusing a lot on whatever Mars is doing. You are communicating here. You are communicating, and everything that you are in communication about is going to bring you ultimately more a sense of like independence, or you feeling like you're finally moving forward with things. You're finally sort of getting into the groove of things you on, and there's a good basically outcome from all the efforts you've been putting, in, not only this year, but last year. All right. Not only this year, but last year. So action packed month. Unexpected travel might even come up here with these particular, numerologies are going to be really important. And of course, these plans are correlated to Uranus, Mercury, and Mars. These are going to be moments where you're going to find out a lots of email exchanges, or even if you applied somewhere, you're going to get, good news back from here as well. These are the types of things and themes that you can expect. Your spiritual advice card is the Six of Swords. And what do we see here? There is a woman in a boat with her bag, and the birds are leading her, out of the water onto land. And this is ultimately what you're coming out of. You're coming out of these rough waters. You're coming out of, this moment where things didn't feel stable, and they're going to start to finally feel stable. They're going to start to move you forward in a way that it's going to feel, honestly, like there's a moment of integration, I feel like, towards the end of the month that you're going to have as well. But again, very good things happening for many of the Cancers this month. Leo, your numerology is 33 and 6. Your keywords are balance, relationship, and emotional growth, especially in your relationships right now. You are definitely redefining how to trust your relationships with proper boundaries, how to balance them out, how to understand the person in front of you a little bit more. Because a part of you has been working on this. A part of you knows that you're going to be working on this because you also have some action going on in your 8th house. Let's move forward so I can just kind of okay, so you've got Saturn here now, and you've had Neptune here, obviously, but Saturn joining the party in the 8th house. This is you really learning how to share yourself with another person. All right. There's a lot of how do I share myself with another person? How do I split responsibilities? How do I let another person lean on me leaning on another person? There's emotional growth that is happening this month here. Now, 33 is a number, though, that is connected to Jupiter. So with Jupiter being in your 10th house of career, there is a lot of relationship dynamics and new emotional growth in your career. There is going to be also Venus, number 6 has to do with Venus. Venus is quite activated, all right, in your 12th house. So there is some kind of behind the scenes growing with your relationship aspects that could be happening here. Sometimes this can be a secretive relationship aspect too, Some of you, it might be a new sort of relationship that is unfolding that you don't want to kind of reveal yet, and that is totally fine. You're wanting to kind of, nurture this and grow this. Again, there is sort of a balance that is returning to relationship dynamics, which I think is going to be really welcomed by many of you. You have been going through a relationship up and down quite a bit with that Mars and Gemini for, I don't know, seems like forever, So, all right, Virgo, 54 and number 9. Keywords are work, happiness, coming through on a project, or finally starting this project. Many of you, okay, this month, you are to finally jumpstart that project. You are to finally come out and do this thing that you have been thinking about and maybe fearing of the fear of the change that could come with this project. All right. 54 deals with work and also with happiness, and then having things sort of come together where you are now understanding that there is change. Your mindset is applied here, the number 5 and the 4. There's nothing you can do. You're moving towards that change. 4 brings change. 4 is also a number where it's like as above, so below. So there could be some kind of event that happens here during the month where you start to realize like you have no other choice but to move on, which is really nice. You might need that little push, Your spiritual advice card is the 5 of Wands. Yes. So there's a little bit of an internal struggle still to grow into how to approach even your work or how to approach things that you're really wanting to focus on in your life. But you're going to come through, Virgo, this month. This is the month. If you've been fearing something, which I feel and sensing from many of you that you have, you're going to come through this month. You are going to finally get into this new territory. And I promise you're going to adjust, because 54 is a strong numerology. Number 9 is a strong numerology. You're taking action on things that actually make you happy, and you're finally doing them. So you're liberating yourself because of it, which is really nice. Libra, your numerology is 43 and number 7. The keywords are truth, self-respect, and trusting your decisions, which is huge. You got to trust your decisions, right? And of course, you do have this activation now with Jupiter moving into your 8th house. Let's move forward. Yep. Jupiter moves into your 8th house now. Wow. A new definition of money, a new definition of just feeling abundant, with shared resources, support, money you didn't think would come in the ways that it's coming in now. And so you have to make further decisions this month. And it is very much connected to you trusting yourself and respecting yourself. There's a new definition of self-respect that is definitely coming through. The first half of the month is going to be focused on Uranus quite a bit because you're going to have to think differently. There could be a sense of irritability that is still there, but then your beliefs are changing as time is moving, on, sort of like mid-month, and then towards the second half of the month, there is going to be a trusting your decision definitely that is happening. Your spiritual advice card, I can't believe it. The cards are always spot on. How is this happening? The High Priestess. Wow. The High Priestess is the highest form of trusting yourself. Knowing that the decisions that you're making are they're good for you and nobody else's opinion is inside of that. Really important this month. Don't listen to listen to other people, but it's really important with the High Priestess to just know that you're coming from a place that is you. You're respecting you. You're respecting yourself, right? And there's sort of a heightened sense of that this month. Scorpio. All right, Scorpio, your numerology is number 60. The key words are relationships, boundaries, arts, music, and pleasure. Okay, could be a month where intimacy is definitely a part of this month, but there is sort of a cultivating of new boundaries or protecting certain relationships. Protection is going to be key, I think, for many of you this month. That Venus moving into Cancer, that is going to be a really important aspect for many of you. Venus being in Cancer in the 9th house, you are going to start to bring a lot of new ways on how to think about your relationships into the picture, which is really, really important. And at the same time, many of you, I think you are going to, because Mars is moving into Leo, there's a moment here for you to push forward in your career and bring some fun back into your career, or bring some sort of momentum into your life that will be around more of pleasure, art, music. These are the types of keywords and the themes that you can expect. Your spiritual advice card is the Hanged Man. And I love this. You know why? Because it is about right now more receiving than giving. It is about receiving. It is about, stop and enjoy life. This month is going to be about that a lot. It's about sort of stepping into your life right now from a place of it feels good to feel supported. It feels good to keep moving again and doing things that you absolutely like doing. And then cherishing the moment. This is going to be so key this month for many of you. All right, moving on to Sagittarius. Your numerology is 50. Your keywords are mindful communication, boundaries with communication. 50. 5 is your mindset. It's communicating, it's words. It is also a time where a lot of attention could be placed on you. All right. Of course, this has to do with Mercury. Mercury is stationing. You are thinking about your life and yourself in a way where, you're trying to bring quality back into your lifestyle. And you have been shown the people that don't hold you in the same light. And so there is sort of a mindful communication and a boundary setting that is unfolding here for many of you. And of course, protection is going to be key. Boundaries are going to be key. And some things in your daily lifestyle are going to change because of it. So that is another really nice change. I think that that sixth house that is highlighted with, Jupiter now moving in here as well, you are going to be able to understand now previous attractions or previous things that you were trying to bring into your life and why they didn't work, because you had to sort of learn something around protection with what you can do, what you can't do, what you can trust, and really watching people's behaviors inside of picture as well. Okay. These are types of things where your mindset is going to become a lot more free. You're going to start to realize and have insights that are going to be super valuable, so that Jupiter, when Jupiter is now in Taurus in your sixth house, the stuff that you're going to attract to your life are going to be long term. It's not just going to be this whole year, but it's going to be long term, and what you need to pay attention to, what you're communicating with other people. And you're moving out a lot of fears. So your spiritual advice card is the Nine of Swords. You're moving out a lot of fears this month, and you got to protect your mindset here too. Okay. This is obviously about who you listen to will become very clear, and who you don't listen to. But number one is, when you go to bed at night, Nine of Swords, what's still on your mind and why is it on your mind? These are the things that require boundaries, and it's boundaries with your own mindset as well. That is the theme of this month, which is going to be a huge support for you, because it's a new energy that is going to help you to stay more grounded. I love that for you, Sagittarius. If you're here in the chat, say hi. Let me know where you're tuning in from. I know many of you have been going in and out. I mean, it is the afternoon on a Monday, but I know that if you're watching this afterwards, just let me know in the comment section how the month is unfolding. Capricorn. Capricorn, your numerology is 71 and 8. Your key words are energy and finances. Now, I want to hone in on this energy. 71 brings a lot of energy, okay? The kind of energy where you have mental clarity. The 7 is clarity. And so things have felt sort of unclear for a moment. Where have they been unclear? Where? Mercury. We want to think of Mercury. All right. Mercury has been in your fifth house, of the house of fulfillment, the house of joy, the house of you bringing those aspects into your life, expanding those aspects in your life. And there has been some unclarity here in regards to fulfillment and how to make this part of your life more stable. And so for you this month, there is finally a new energy that is allowing for you to make good decisions that will ultimately then also pay off financially, because 71 and 8, they are related to finances. They are related to some kind of investment that you're making. And this investment for you guys has a lot to do with fulfillment. All right. This has a lot to do with some kind of up leveling and worth and feeling just a lot more, happy. And this is your spiritual advice card here, which is the King of Wands. The King of Wands is finally reaching an end stage of a hardship. All right. And the King, I love the Leo behind him, because we just talked about your fifth house. All right. Even though it is a Taurus house, the fifth house has a lot to do with the heart. It has a lot to do with you feeling like you can have a sense of pride, and you can bring the sense of pride back into the picture. You can feel happy about what you've been through and where you're at now, what you've learned and how much you have gained. And that is going to be the focus this month, that is bringing you a lot of great new opportunities to bring fulfillment in, but then ultimately also make decisions that will help you to feel like you've made the right decisions, and you're, focusing financially in a new direction as well. All right. That's what I'm seeing here. Hi, Janelle from Miami. You're a Leo. Yes. I just, make sure you watch everything, right? Because we're covering all of it. So I'm going to timestamp this video probably this evening. And you guys will be able to kind of go back and forth and kind of watch this, because as the month unfolds, you know, you can kind of apply the energies for yourself here. All right, moving on to Aquarius. Aquarius, your numerology is 54 and 9. Your keywords are lies lead to new truths. Why am I saying that? There is a pivot point for many of the Aquariuses this month. All right. This pivot point has to do with some relationship aspects, but there is some communication or things that you didn't know that will come out. For many of you, this will have to do either with contracts or some contractual agreements. Venus is moving. All right. And it is for you guys. All right. Moving into the sixth house. So there's going to be a lot of exchange as far as things that need to get handled. All right. Mars was here. Mars is basically going to move into Leo from Cancer, clearing things up now in contracts. Mars and Leo will bring in fresh energy for you to understand where the lies have been told. All right. Where you need to protect yourself. This is about protecting yourself at that point. Now, of course, the pivot point is correlated in the 54. The number 4 is a Uranian number, all right? That Uranian number has to also do with what is changing at home at this time, because Uranus is in your 4th house. Uranus is changing things up, you know. There is a new sort of idea of what your home life is going to look like. You could be expanding your home. You could be in a completely new situation when it comes to home and family life, and you could be expanding what that means. And so there is a new fresh energy here, but there could be some issues or challenges that you've dealt with where lies have been told. Okay, 54 can deal with that. And very good month. Towards the end of this month, you are going to have this pivot point that leads to new truths, but also leads to new action. And ultimately, a very good outcome when it comes to things going in your favor. Your spiritual advice card here is the Knight of Cups. You are going to come out on top, going to be enjoying yourself. You're going to be celebrating something really big at the end of this month. So many of you can really expect that. You're celebrating something huge at the end of this month, which I'm very excited to know about. Let me know. What is it? Okay. Pisces. Your numerology this month is number 45 and 9. Your keywords are cutting ties with finances that drain. Okay. Where are your finances draining this month? You are going to be cutting ties with that. Or people who do not follow through on their promise. This is going to be huge for many of you. It's going to be pretty straightforward, Pisces. You are basically making decisions to move on. And it will require for you to speak up and to create that change. And I see for many of you that that is exactly what is going to be happening. Now, you're going to be left with exactly what you need to do. Exactly what you need to do. The 2 of Wands is that kind of a card. The 2 is a remedy. Okay. Emotionally, what do you need? The Wands is about the self. The 2 of Wands has a lot to do with what you need, actually, not what somebody else thought that you needed. And then they bring that whole thing into the picture. I feel like for many of you, this will have to do sort of with you realizing in relationships where people kind of get in the way of you moving into a more self-respected sort of definition of what more money could look like, what productivity could look like. It is correlated to finances as well for you guys. So that's what I'm seeing here. The outcome is going to be beautiful. Actually understand what it is that you need to do for you. And that is going to allow for you to push people out that do not follow through on their promise. And you're going to find out why they were not following through on their promise. The Moon card. They have some secrets. They're going to come up. You're going to be told. And you are going to, at the end of this month, come into a conversation where you are going to finally either jumpstart a project or some kind of side hustle or some kind of side job or some kind of new financial sort of business that you've been wanting to focus on, it's going to become something huge actually as time progresses. Like a year from now, if you take action on this, it's going to grow immensely. But right now, it is about sort of clean up house. Okay. That's what I'm seeing here for you, Pisces. You guys, 1 hour, 14 minutes, and 46 seconds. We covered the entire month. We covered your sign. I'm so excited that you were here with me. If you're watching this later, make sure you subscribe and ring the bell. You join me here on my YouTube family channel. Like I said, my goal right now here on this channel is to reach 10,000 subscribers. And when we do, I'm going to do a huge giveaway. Okay, we're going to be celebrating. We're going to do a huge giveaway. I'm going to give away readings. I'm going to give away merch. And I'm just excited to reach this goal together. There's room for everyone here. And yeah, that's my personal goal. It's a mini goal, but it feels like it's a big one for me, you know? So thank you so much for joining me here. Again, all the other platforms, you can find me at Aylin Sky Astro on TikTok and also on Instagram, where I go live. I go live on TikTok. I go live on Instagram. So you want to make sure you press the notification bell there, because those lives, sometimes I don't keep them and I don't repost them. It's just something in the moment that I feel like that comes to me that I then feel inspired to kind of talk about something. And so, yeah, if you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. I will be checking those comments. I'm wishing everyone a wonderful month ahead. I'm wishing you all the best, whatever it is that you do. And I am going to see you in my next episode when we're going to be talking about the lunar eclipse in Scorpio and why this one is going to be so intense with truth bombs and pivot points. I will see you there. Bye.